Welcome to Drakenmemoria. I know, we're late. We're about in time in how late we usually are, but we had good reason, or at least the internet had good reasons. I don't know if it's lying to us or not, but
The internet did not have good reasons.
see, this is a bad start. And also, just to make sure that this is clear, we have had a few power interruptions in the last few days. They never last for more than 2 minutes, but if everything just suddenly suspends, now you know why. Hopefully, and usually so far, we'll be back in a few minutes if it happens. But you never know. Hasn't happened today, but preparing myself. So, now that these dire warnings have been given, as I was saying, welcome to Drakenmemoria. And for those of you who might be wondering what this is, other than a channel where there's one person rambling about the problems of the world while the other ones are looking at their stuff, it is about Dungeons and Dragons, and more specifically, a group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. So now you know what they're all looking at. Their character sheets or private message that I've sent them. Because I tend to do that sometimes. If this isn't something you want to watch, well, we started, too bad, and it's going to be the same thing next week, so prepare yourself. For everyone else, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us. No matter what reason you might have for being here, because you find it fun, because you had fun in the previous one, decided to come back, because your friend told you that this was fun, because you like laughing at people, having awkward moments. No matter the reason, we're glad to have you with us. Not a lot more to say other than that before we start. As always, a little thank you to Chaotic Calling, who usually raids the channel maybe half an hour in. Kearney City Guild, who is letting us post on their site. So Chaotic Calling is another D&D channel. Kearney City Guild is a Discord channel for those looking for Dungeons and Dragon group. Right now, they decided to specialize in one-shot, so if it's your thing, maybe you should go. So if you want the information for those channels, just go below. Sorry, in the panels below the window, if you're watching this on Twitch, there's a panel, special thanks, and their information is there. There's a link you can press, and it's going to get you to either to the Discord or their channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, well, in the description, there is the link, I believe, I put there. I'll have to check. Some things change, and some of the links that I posted don't work anymore. But I believe that the links are still working, and you can get to either their Discord or their channel, depending on who you click on. And the last thing that I actually want to specify is this. We might actually get some music, and finally, and why am I saying this now after saying this so many times in the past and never actually getting music? It's because this time, it's not an acquaintance of mine that is saying, I can make you some music, and they never talk to me again. Or a friend saying, that's not hard to find royalty-free music, and start sending me a lot of music that I can't use because they don't understand the concept of royalty-free stuff. This site, I have found it myself. I know what's on it. I know it's royalty-free. And unless, for some reason, the site decides to close, because this is the kind of luck that I'm previewed to a lot of the time, starting next episode, we might actually finally get some music in there. Probably not all at once. Most likely it's going to be some elements, probably combat first, and then ambient sound. But it's going to start happening with next episode. So, yay! Well, at least for me. All right. That's everything that I needed to talk about before we started. So, let's get started. Fortunately, we don't have an introduction, so we're just starting directly on it. All right. So, last few episodes, the party has most of its time has been spent on preparing for a large offensive that has been prepared against the followers of the Hunter cult, which has been plaguing the lives of many adventurers, including our 4 adventurers present right now. So, they did their research, shared information. I see Chaotic Calling is, at least one person of Chaotic Calling is here. So, welcome among us. Don't worry, we don't think you're the one killing everyone. So they've been preparing, sharing knowledge, learning new magic, learning new stuff about their companions. Some of it interesting, some of it worrying, but preparing. And after spending an obscene amount of money, after accepting weird stuff from gnomes, after sharing with the garden the existence of Tery, the group has finally assembled themselves and left the garden to rejoin with the bulk of the adventurers who decided to take part in this attack on the cult. So, last episode ended as everyone stepped through the door, the dimensional door leading outside of the garden, and everyone just appeared back in the shattered continent. Was mixing a few names in one. Back in the shattered continent, in their own island chain where they've been having their adventures since the campaign has started. And so, Jorg, Audience, and Remy, you have just arrived back on the field, half an hour away from Otanel, this large commercial city with a skyport, and just near the limit of your visual capabilities, you can see Corinth, the turtle paladin, just waving, not toward you, but toward someone else who seems to be in his field of vision. But he is standing sideways, so most likely he was looking in your direction just before you arrived. And so, this is where you are. What do you want to do?
Walk forward. Press W.
Randy thinking that the wave was meant for them also just waves.
the awkward wave. Just...
wave.
All right.
We going in the city?
Half an hour outside of the city.
All right.
The portals haven't been placed in cities, so to not provoke panic or an impression of being invaded. You know, when suddenly a whole bunch of adventurers starts appearing in your backyard, there's 2 things you can think to yourself. It's, oh, I'm invaded, or who threw a party and I wasn't invited. So all the portals are just a bit outside of the major cities. And right now, I have the map out again.
Yeah, I guess with Fisher getting ahead of them, just like Remy starts like catching up.
And yeah, Jorg will follow them.
Okay. So, audience, same thing?
Yes.
Alright. So, you all make your way toward Corinth, who doesn't move. He seemed to be waiting there, and after maybe a few minutes, just enough time to get closer to him, You see him turn around in your direction and just hear him yell from very far. Come on, then! What are you waiting for? I'm the turtle, and you're the last one in. That's not right.
Raimi starts running faster.
This is that awkward moment when you notice somebody from too far away, and then so you're not close enough to actually start talking to him yet. You're just kind of staring at each other as you're walking closer.
Alright, so you all get near where Corinthian is, and as you get closer, you start seeing who he might have been waving at. There's a lot of people waiting very near the edge of the exterior village that has been growing outside of the city. And it's a bit hard to tell who is it exactly, but you do notice a few people that are shorter, a few people that are a lot taller, and a lot of people that are of average size. So most likely the tallest ones are Dragonborns. Corin is just beside you, so it's most likely not him. Half-orc, maybe? You know one. You know there's two, but... as you arrive, Corinth looks at all of you. We've just received word that you are coming with us. It's good news. The more the merrier.
Of course. Glad to be joining the party.
Yeah, that's most likely going to be one heck of a party. I doubt very much that they're aware of what's about to fall on them. On a personal note, I haven't been castle raiding for a long time. It's gonna bring back memories.
Have you castle raided before?
Oh yes, of course. I personally don't spend a lot of time in castles, but my traveling companion actually did. And I've helped her a few times. So, I've done my share of bursting into castles and bursting out of castles and, well, bursting with castles also.
All of this talk of castles, like Raimi's eyes are just like brightening up, just like really intensely listening to what you're saying.
And with your slight increase in perception, you sort of get a higher feeling of Corinth really is an excessively experienced paladin. You sort of now notice how the edge of his shell is all chipped and not smooth at all. His large maul, which looks very used, to the point that the piece of wood that is holding the large stone at the end of it, which you're still not sure what it is, but it looks like something that must have come from inside of a creature, is slightly bent, but it bent over time because he just hit so many people, so many things with it, that the wood slightly adopted a bent form. And of course, signs of age are starting to show on the face of this turtle. But he is as jovial as ever, and apparently very eager to get this attack started. So, any of you have ever attacked a enemy settlement, fort, emplacement? There's so many names to describe a place where the enemy is gonna hide and wait there until we get there and kick them out.
I have not.
Me neither.
Myself.
So,
Rami starts
I
awkwardly
tend to stay
whistling
out
and
of-
backing up a little bit.
Oh, so we're gonna be breaking a first time! This is going to be fun! Come on then. Follow me. Everyone's waiting near the entrance of the city. It's just a gathering point. Unless you need to do something inside the city, go buy something, talk to someone. We've had a few of the adventurers actually go inside, buy a few things. Apparently, some left without thinking of buying healing potions.
I kind of think we're set.
Yeah, I've got. Maybe I should go buy a couple healing potions.
You've got what? How many do you have?
One potion of greater healing.
And spells.
And spells, yeah. So
I've got a greater and a regular.
I don't know what y'all
Alright.
talking about.
There's
Rami
gonna be a
feels
lot
tens
of
of pounds lighter.
adventurers.
We should have a good amount.
Yeah. All
'Cause-
right.
I know we had a good amount, and we haven't really used it.
Mm-hmm. And if worse comes to worse, I'm sure there'll be someone willing to spare a potion or a spell.
I think we got
I'm
it.
sure.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright then. Come on. As you get closer, you see everyone in this front line of people. You actually do see all of the Dragonborns that are there. Audience, you recognize Cooldown, who was there when Theag gave you the speech about what you saw on the other side. He is, just like before, waiting patiently, arm crossed, doesn't seem to have a weapon in his hand. He seems to be wearing just a breastplate and simple bracers and grievers to protect himself. Right next to him, you recognize another Dragonborn, the one that has a sword to his hip. Now you also see a shield on his back, and his armor is much more imposing. In some ways, you look at him and you can sort of see that, oh, well, he looks a bit like Fisher in 2 years. And of course, you see a few humans. Some of them you only heard by names, or you're not sure who is who. You do see the Elven Bard, Neisa, that you saw inside the garden. You do see... where's the name? Here. The half-elf female archer that you'd seen before. And about 30 feet behind her, you see Bertrand, who, Jorg, you also know, as you've traveled a bit with him. Staring in your direction, or at least you think he's staring in your direction. Jorg, with your slightly higher passive perception than audience and Fisher. Just want to make sure here. Yeah. You sort of realize that he might not actually be looking at you. He might actually be looking at the Elven Archer.
Oh.
You see Sarn in the group. He's just waiting, a bit confused. But he always looks a bit confused. You see a dwarven cleric who's there, and just as you're arriving, you also see a goblin arriving from the city, and he seems to be carrying a large bag in his hand, and he just rummaging through it as he's walking. Okay, taking something out, and you just hear him mumble. Just throw it on the ground. Throw it on the ground. Takes a small gem out. Oh, pockets it. Keeps walking toward the group. Of course, you get greeted by more than one. Hey, hey, and see if you get a few just nod of approval as you're arriving. Some of them don't even look at you. The dwarf just looks in your direction and looks in the other direction.
I might have missed it earlier, but is Core there?
Nope, you do not see him.
Okay.
Rainy makes a whistling sound. You know, that's the kind of whistling sound that that's usually reserved for like being impressed by something.
Okay. You hear Corinth just says, "Yeah, that's a bit impressive. I've seen bigger. Have you ever seen an army of paladin waiting to attack the temple of an evil god? Now that's more impressive to look at."
Slowly turns his head to audience. And is just doing his best to like picture that army, but all of them are audience.
Well then, what are we waiting on?
Oh, actually, you. I'd heard that we have all heard a little message from Syrah warning us that you all were actually coming. Just a little bit further, however, she already left. We have the leader of this expedition. Adorable little cleric, red-headed cleric. She always seems so bubbly. She's probably going to be back in a few minutes. Or we can all leave and not force her to come back on her toward us. I mean, this would be the polite thing to do. He looks around, everyone, just, you have a few people just... You hear the goblin just mumbling as he passes in front of you and just throws a dagger on the ground. No. Can't have that. Just keeps going. The dagger...
Maybe just casually brings a hand down, picks up the dagger, puts it in his coat.
Alright, well, you can add to your inventory if you want a rusted dagger.
You'll clean it later. Or just like going for the long term. Stab them, they die of tetanus.
Stab them, and if they survive, next time you meet them, they're actually poisoned or diseased.
Yep.
If they kill you, you have the satisfaction of knowing that they didn't survive. So, which do you favor? Waiting for, hold on, what's Kethin to come back, or moving forward?
I say we go, but
well, Corinth has already given his opinion. He feels it's a little bit more chivalrous to go meet her instead of forcing her to come back toward the group.
I feel like we should just head out now.
I like that idea.
Also, I kind of feel not high enough up in the command structure here to make that decision. Is there a command structure here?
Well, he did
Or is
say
it
that
just
the leader,
a bunch of people?
the leader of
I'm
the
asking him.
Well, he did say
This
that.
is all in character.
Okay. Well, in that case, he just reminds you. Oh, yeah, the leader of the expedition, as I've just said, Kithen. She's the one who had been asked to took the quest of exploring the mountains, trying to find this base of operation, and she hasn't found it, but she has narrowed the search area. But she's been asking for help because every time she gets inside of that search area, she is attacked by members of the cult. So technically, she's the leader of the expedition.
Well then, yeah, let's get to her so she can tell us what to do, right?
Well, I think that
Yes.
what we have to do is pretty clear, but yeah, she might have a different opinion. He leans toward you, Fisher. To be honest, I have been in groups that suddenly decided to go somewhere else at the last moment. So you never know.
They all suddenly had errands to run.
Alright, so you all start moving off and leave the city of Otanel. Well, actually, you just go around the exterior wall and go to the southwest door, leaving this large city. And the entire group starts just following you. And as you start walking, after an hour, you come across, maybe more 45 minutes. You come across a small bridge, large enough for several carts to go by at the same time, but still not one of those huge bridge that you can sometimes see in front of castles or anything like that. It only has 2 arch under it, made out of stone, and a little stream going under it. Among all of the people walking, is there anyone you would like to take a moment to talk to, go toward, for any reason? Because with a group this large, unless it's an army of thieves, you're not gonna get attacked. And I really mean an army.
I mean, did I recognize the Dragonborn who seemed to be proficient in my style of fighting, but better at it?
Well, make
might say.
make a perception roll. See if you can identify the similarities. And
17.
17. I'd say it probably takes an hour. You've just crossed over the bridge, and as you are all looking at one another, a lot of you just seems to all share the same awkwardness around one another, not sure if you're supposed to talk to one another or not. Everyone keeps to their smaller groups. You can easily notice that, okay, some are probably used to traveling together. You do notice something about this dragonborn that feels
Train crossing the bridge.
aside from that, that's something he has in common with audience. You do notice something that attracts your attention. He's walking with this other dragonborn, which, since you've spent so much time with dragonborn, you also find there's something a bit odd about this other dragonborn. He is oddly contemplative. for a Dragonborn. He's not very outspoken. He seems to be always in his thoughts, silent. But he's walking next to the other Dragonborn in a way that feels like they've known each other for a very long time. But the Dragonborn, which you do recognize something similar, as he is examining his sword while you're walking, and you do recognize some glyphs written on the sword, and you know that this is something that a lot of Eldritch Knight will do. Carve spells in their blade, conjuring them. It's one of the methods that's been used. Some just memorize it completely. Some infuse their blade with this, and just by channeling the energy within it, will actually give the same result. It's mostly an aesthetic thing, but it works.
I guess I will walk up to him then. Be like, hi. I couldn't help but notice that you also seem to be a Eldritch Knight.
Yes. Well, it's one way of calling it, but yes, I am very proficient in the martial type of magic. Is there anything you want to know? Oh, Kehazin, by the way. And he extends a hand toward you.
What was that?
Kehazin.
Kehazin?
Yeah. Yeah. Kiyhazin. He seems to have a strong ancestry with Gold Dragon, from the shape of different aspect of his appearance, the color of his scale, and he is much more outspoken. Similar to Audience, but it shows that he's much more seasoned, much more experienced, and used to people finding it annoying that you just arrive and just blur out your life. So,
nice to meet you. I'm Fisher.
yes, I've heard about the name.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, the first time I heard it, I was expecting to find one of those giant fish people, but that works also. Although, I mean,
I guess that's...
it probably would have been more insulting to call a fish like that than to call a living machine like this.
Fair enough. I gotta say, it feels, or at least I think I have a feeling me and my group are a little less experienced than the rest of you here. And while it's
don't worry
nice
about
to
it.
be invited along, yeah, if you have anything you could teach me while we're going, that'd be much appreciated.
Oh, well, sure, but, you know, I hardly know anything about you except the fact that you're the only our version of everyone else living in the garden. And that you have a name worthy of a fisherman. I'm gonna have to know a bit more. Probably tonight. Oh, well, no, that's... Probably tonight's not gonna be the best of moment, but... Yeah, I'm gonna have to know a bit more about you. About how you fight, where you are. And don't worry about the experience thing. There's quite a large area to cover. We're gonna split up in several groups. Actually, just before we arrive, we were told that Sarn is going to teleport out of the group. Well, you know, their version of teleportation, walking through trees and stuff. gonna take half of the group on the other side of the mountain. There's another entrance there. And, you know, we're gonna split the... well, I guess it's a small army. In two, and take it from both sides. And apparently we're gonna have to split again several times while we're walking inside the mountain. So, don't worry. Just prepare your group properly and should be fine.
I guess that's reassuring. Where do you want me to start? I mean, I guess there's not a lot.
You hear the Dragonborn that is much more composed than him, just beside him, saying, well, just tell us that you're not gonna start 2,000 years ago with your stories and start from there. Maybe just what is relevant.
Well, I don't remember 2,000 years ago.
This Dragonborn is a bit harder to tell what is his origin. He sort of has a grayish color. So you're looking at him and silver dragon, white dragon, something in between. Even his physical trait, the way his head is made, there seems to be a mishmash of both lineage. The advantage is you know that he's related to cold.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's really hard to tell.
Well, funny enough, my first mentor I had was also a Dragonborn. So I trained with him for just a couple of years back in the capital before he ended up having something he needed to take care of over on this island chain. So me and a couple other of his students came with him, and then I got the first letter from the garden while I was there, so I decided to split off, come join this weird crew, and that's where I found my group that I've been going with for a little bit now. They're pretty good. We're definitely still figuring out how to work together.
You see them both looking in the direction that you just pointed to, your group, and oh yeah, that group that's really mixed up. Yeah, yeah. There are a few others like this group in the garden.
So, by the way, when he points over to Raimi, he's like, you would have found that he was staring adamantly at both of these Dragonborn, but when the attention was called to him, just started like whistling away.
Yeah, discreet, huh?
Yeah, supposedly. I don't know, nobody else seems to see him, or at least when he doesn't want to be seen.
Remy, I'd say make a perception roll.
Oh god. Yeah, it's about what I expected. 24.
Okay. You are very nimble. You know that. And you know that a lot of people will simply not notice you as you're walking. But as you're walking off and just walking in front of someone, and usually people lose track of you now when you do this, with your perception, you notice that the Dragonborn that has a weird origin, one that you're not sure which one it is, doesn't lose track of you at all.
Since it came out, and they still have not fixed the graphics stuff.
Just like as he's noticing this, just kind of blinks and kind of like maybe even does like a few circle takes through the crowd.
He is
Still not losing
following
sight.
you way too easily for your comfort.
Just want to imagine a big anime sweat drop. Just like-
So, do we... Kay hasn't... Turns back toward you, Fisher. Well, you're not very good at telling a story, but it's a good one. So...
Oh, it's kind of short.
Oh, no, I was referring to your tone of voice.
Oh,
I don't know, maybe there was something in your making. Can you sing?
No.
Well, that's probably the problem. We're gonna have to find a gnome. Try having him to see inside your ears. Maybe you're naturally tone deaf.
No, thank you. I'm not letting a gnome anywhere near me.
Well, I wasn't talking about a gnome of the garden, you know. They can have their weird
Okay.
things.
I guess that makes me a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
Those guys are kind of fun, but I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them, which is probably kind of far, now that I think about it.
You hear Terranad go inside of you. Well, it depends. If it's a spell, it's not that far. Your cousin keeps going. I see that you have a little bit more interesting group. You have the only other Dragonborn. You know, the other one's already with the first group, almost there. But why don't you come over? How about the rest of your group? Come on. Hey, brother. I'm not sure what your name is. No one has ever told me yours. Come on. Don't be shy.
You're awfully friendly, aren't you?
Dragonborns are very outspoken as a race.
Did you say that to him, or because I was?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll let.
Zach.
Guys, get over here. Someone
alright,
wants to meet you.
come on over.
Yeah, I want to join them.
Meet people.
All right, well, people. That's which one of you is named like that? I'm just kidding. I know none of you are. So,
Dragonborn
Kazan.
is audience.
Yes.
He presents himself, Kazan, and he hands a hand toward both of you. Actually, he's waiting to see who's going to take it first.
I'll take it.
Ha! And he shakes your hand, also grabbing your forearm with the other hand. Ha! Give you a firm arm shake. It's always nice to be among your own, you know?
Yes.
And what about you? You look the type of person who likes walking in the forest. He looks at your shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to stay in the forest. Do you?
That's-
Forgets
Jorg.
debate.
Yes, I'm Jorg.
He only recently decided that I'm a real person. That's not accurate.
Oh.
That I am sentient and not just a machine that can't think for itself.
Well, what can you say? If you don't have an open mind, the world will open it for you. And usually very violently. So, be thankful.
Yeah, I'm glad it was. We didn't go further than healthy debate.
Yeah, I'm sure. He turns toward you, Fisher, gives you a wink as he's saying it. Yeah, sure.
And then Raimi's probably around here somewhere. It's the one with the feathers.
Everyone,
that your
everyone
friend
just
pointed
looks
out
around.
earlier.
He's literally standing right next to you. Just hasn't broken eye contact with the Dragonborn that's been staring at him the whole time.
So he gets a present. Oh, you see the Dragonborn that is the older version of you, but flesh and blood. Yeah. I've heard about you, you know. I've been asking a few questions. you don't get a lot of birds inside of the garden. You know, there was one, but that fellow looks a little bit sketchy. You know, just looking out, looking at the sky all the time. To be honest, he looked a bit like Green Dragon with his coloring scheme and all. It's always a bit worrying when you see those. Always trying to manipulate you in something. But hey, you need all kinds of things to make the world. Hey, audience!
Yeah, that.
What tribe are you coming from? Or maybe it's large enough to be a clan?
I'm coming from a little clan outside of the Dragonborn capital, clan Hasavir.
Yeah, I've heard about those. You really live just a few hours away from the city, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
We haven't had a lot of dealings with those. Not in the last century, anyway.
Our clan tends to keep to themselves.
Why can I not get this game to go into 19?
Oh, that's okay, you know. It's understandable. You live near the capital. There's a lot of people who might try and influence you. You know, those other race. And he looks outward toward the other ones, towards humans and the half-elves. And, you know, sometimes they really want you to follow their way of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bit of an invasive species.
But yeah.
Could be a little bit too quiet for my taste. Not as outspoken as us Dragonborn.
He gives a glance to his friend when you say that. Yeah, well, there are some special ones, I admit.
What the hell, this game? Why is it putting a menu?
As you hear someone yell in the background, another of the traveler out there.
They must be playing. Travel Dragon Chess.
Yeah, a small version of it. He's playing with another human. They have this small board that looks just the size of a book, and they're just moving things on it. Yeah, apparently we have some who can't just talk to one another. They prefer playing among themselves. You know, you have to be worried about those who don't talk a lot. And he turns toward his friend. I know. You have to...
Amy looks a little sad now.
He turns toward you, audience. It's like, you're going to have to forgive my friend. You know, he can't help it.
I think it's less of maybe the words they speak and maybe the more honesty they speak with those words. Dragonborn are very, you know, outright and forthcoming with you. You know, some of the other races like to, I heard this term from some human, beat around the bush a bit.
Yeah. I always found that a really weird expression, you know. Doesn't conjure up someone who's doing nothing. You know, it conjures up, you know, something else. Of an image in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for that, I completely agree, you know. With us, it's clear. You either are or you're not. Even my friend, who's, I'll admit, a little less outspoken than the most, but you can rely on him on that. He's always honest when he speaks.
It's good.
I restarted it,
I'll give the quiet one a nod. That's all I want.
No offense, but I didn't come over here in the first place and also introduce you to the rest of my group for both of you to just shit on everybody else other than Dragonborn.
Well, I guess it can look like that if you're not one of us, but it's really not something that's, you know, we don't hold it against anyone. We don't think that you absolutely have to be like us, you know. It's more of a question of not holding everything in, you know? You can see those people just walking about, and he turns toward the dwarf, who just seems to be walking with a dark cloud above his head. You know, he just keeps walking and never talks to anyone. And whenever someone tries to make fun of his name, he reaches out for what is in range.
Audience is like, challenge
would-
accepted, and starts
Why
walking
would you
over
make
towards the
fun
door.
of someone's name?
Well, you're a dwarf and you're called Coven. Come on, I know that in Dwarvish it sounds a bit different, but still, you're asking for it.
I don't get it.
You have a moment of awkwardness in the group. Right, alright, so...
I mean, audience is walking over towards the dwarf because someone said that he wasn't. An audience is like, challenge accepted. I'm gonna go be friends with this dwarf.
Alright, well, he's walking with the dark cloud hovering over his head, and just in his thoughts. He looks a little bit brutish as a dwarf, you know, looking around, and have a very dark colored beard and hair. And he seems to be wearing the clothes of a priest. You don't recognize the emblem, but it has a sun on it, so it usually suns is either good or elemental based. So
Does he look like the same dwarf that was arguing with Core way back when, before we got to the garden in the tavern, before we got ambushed on the road?
make an intelligence roll to see if you can remember that.
Straight intelligence.
Yeah.
Eight.
You don't remember? It's really not something that you were paying a lot of attention to, and it happened 2 months ago. Maybe.
Fair enough.
If the dwarf was going to the garden, since you've only seen a handful of dwarves, it could be him. Alright, so as you arrive toward the dwarf, he doesn't talk to you first. He just looks at you coming, and eventually he has a suspicious look in his eyes, you know, sort of a, what do you
I'll
want?
greet him. I'll greet him in Dwarvish in his language. I'll go greetings. You seem deep in thought. Have you found any enlightenment on the thoughts that seem to be troubling you?
Oh, that's a very nice intention. Speaking to me in Dwarvish, I appreciate it. He answers to you in Dwarvish.
There's always that gamble of you find the one dwarf that doesn't know Dwarvish.
Just stares at me blankly. Like, what?
This is racist. What? It's your...
Yeah.
Never mind.
You're butchering my language.
Oh, actually, I've just been wondering about everyone else around here. You know, we're going to go into enemy territories. And it's, you never know who people are praying to. What if we have one of theirs in our group?
And who do you seem to be praying to? I say, looking at his priestly robes with the sun.
Oh, the only one worth praying to. Sorry. The only one worth praying to.
Beyonce.
Algather, the all-seeing light. You don't need to roll religion for that. Algather is one of the 4 major gods. of the world, and he represents light and good. Not even something good, just good.
I'll give a nod. I say, a strong deity indeed, although not one I worship myself. I know him to be quite powerful and a force for good, which I definitely respect.
Well, so long as your god is in good term with him, I mean, I guess there's no problem. Anyone that is for the light, for good, justice, maybe a little bit of order also, has a lot of allies. And
I'll give him
he is one of the first one who actually acknowledged us after the shattering, so you gotta respect that. He looks after us.
Looks after us is something that's very key to me in my religion, and I'll tell him a little bit about how I worship the dragons and how, and I'll show him my emblem, and I'll explain how it's like they seem to be more present and an actual force that can look out for us, and why that's actually a key component of why I worship them.
He looks at your emblem and, draconic god, I don't know a lot about them. But some people like to be able to worship them, We have quite a few of them everywhere. Those worshippers of cult, and actually the Dragonborn you were just next to. Pretty sure he's one of those. He literally seems to be praying to his sword from time to time. Yeah.
Yes. I know a few who definitely hold their swords in a higher regard than even the normal soldier for that of its weapons.
Oh yeah, of course, but some of them honor them and some of them pray to them. That orc, you hear a little bit of disdain in his voice when he says orc. That orc fellow. Yeah. He always acts like his sword is his best friend.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is, knowing his personality.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind knocking it down a few pegs, if you know what I mean.
You're welcome. You're welcome to try. I would love to see that.
I didn't say that I was gonna do that. I don't like him, but I'm not stupid.
I'll give a nod. He is quite strong. I have seen him fight.
Yeah, I've seen him once. They had a duel. Him and the turtle. And the arboretum. Quite a match.
Who was the winner?
There wasn't a clear one. A warden came and asked them to stop because they were tearing up the eastern part of the forest.
Impressive.
Yeah.
I look back at the turtle with new respect in my eyes, like, nice.
That maul of his, it's something really strong. I don't know where he got it from, but if he made it, if it was given to him, even more.
I say, well, it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure meeting you. I'm audience.
Coven.
Nice to meet you.
And you hear it in Dwarvish, and you do hear the difference where the accents are in the voice. And, all right, I get it. In Dwarvish, it really doesn't sound like Caven, but in Common, it does.
I'll go as far and I'll be like, Cobb, I'll say it correctly in Dwarvish. A good name. Pleased to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. I guess It's always good for friends, you know? People you know that aren't praying to the enemy.
I'll give him a nod, and then I'll head back towards the rest of the party.
I'm just pushing them all out of the way.
Come back. I'll be like, doesn't seem such a bad sort. Easy to get along with once you know his ins and outs.
Oh,
What are
yeah.
you getting to know his ins and outs?
He has a few friends. You know, he's...
I
Oddly
don't
enough, he
turn
seems to be
easily,
a
I'm
relatively
in.
good friend with that silver-haired monk. Too bad she
I'm
couldn't...
very glad I made a good impression.
Maneuvers galore over here.
Too bad she couldn't come. Something about something else to do. I bet
I
she
was
would.
just like,
Audience has unlocked this next part of the quest chain.
gotta make friends with their friends, you know.
Insert yourself into their social circle.
Yeah. 1 second. I gotta.
That's right. So Kazan turned toward you, Jordan. They've been quiet all this time. I hope you're not one of those humans who only say they're gonna do things and they don't actually do it.
What do you mean by that?
Have you often walked inside a human town?
Yes. I
Are
tend
you
to live on the outside.
Are you sure you want to ask that question then?
I guess not a lot gets done compared to some.
Oh, it's not a question of not getting things done, you know? It's a question of, oh no, and he adopts a slightly higher voice. Oh no, we don't have enough food. People are stealing us. Oh no, there's 4 thieves coming inside of the village. And there's a really 25 of them just looking at the thieves pilfering their food reserve. You know, they never do anything about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think me being here is at least some indication that I'm not like that. I hope at least, but I guess I did, in a way, abandon the people who would be like that. But
Right.
I'm starting not to like you very much.
Well,
You know, that's what people like you are supposed to be for. It's not everybody can learn to fight. Other people need to learn to do other things.
yeah, like if everyone there fought, all the sheep would die anyways, and they have no wool. And people like me.
well, what good is it if you actually just stay there and let people shave your wool on your back and just leave? Then you also don't get any wool at the end of the year.
But
Well,
that's
then
not
usually
what-
you hire somebody to deal with the problem.
yeah.
That
You
would be
wouldn't have a job
something.
if everyone fought was a warrior.
You know, throw a group of adventurers a banquet. Ask them to take out your problem. At least you're doing something. You're participating in some way. You're feeding those who are going to help you. But no, people just like, oh.
I punch him in the face.
Whoa.
Who? Which one?
Me or
He has it. Okay, is
Wait.
it whatever, however you pronounce his name.
Wait, who's on? Who are you punching in the face?
The guy who's supposed to be my mentor.
The Dragon Boy?
But he's being a dick, so I'm punching him in the face.
Oh. Okay, I'll watch this play out.
Attack roll?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Make an attack roll.
That is, I guess this is plus 7. So that's 22.
Okay. So you try and punch him, and immediately you see him react faster than you've ever seen someone react before. Unless you were looking at one of those duels that's happened. He just pushes off your punch, and then you just see him being replaced by a cloud of silver smoke. And then you feel a blade in your back. Oh, that's interesting. Reflex? You need to work on those.
Raimi has decided to hide with a 20.
From your perspective, and Raimi, since this is the kind of things that you've seen before, he just used Misty Step. Just Misty Step behind Fisher, drew his sword out, and pointed it at his back. You're missing a bit of a reflex there. A bit slow. Maybe you need a tweak. You hear the jovial tone in his voice. He wants you to keep going.
And finally, we get around to what I asked you for in the first place.
Ah, you mean it's gonna stop here? How disappointing.
I don't know, are you going to keep being a dick? Are you going to keep being a dick? Or is this your preferred style of teaching?
I don't know. Are you just gonna ask me for help and not do anything? Or are you actually gonna show me something?
Audie's just gonna whisper loudly so everyone can hear it anyway. I think he wants to know what you're capable of, Fisher.
Yeah, I know.
Raimi
Fisher will begrudgingly.
Other Dragonborn. That's where he decided to hide.
And Remy, you do notice that you hid, but Kahudan never lost track of you.
Mm-hmm.
There's something unnatural about his awareness.
I will begrudgingly summon my greatsword and say, "Oh, the last time I fought someone this out of my league, Core straight up killed me. So this is gonna be more of a spar, right?"
Depends on how honest you are.
That's a great way of selling yourself, by the way, Fisher. Yeah, last time
he knows
I did
who
this,
Core
I died.
is.
He does probably know who Core is.
He knows who Core is,
Yeah,
but
he's really
you just
cool.
said he killed you and you're still alive.
Yeah.
Should probably mention that that's not a normal thing, and you can't just keep coming back.
You'll get too excited. It's like, oh, I got
We're
a real
adventurers. There's no way he hasn't either died himself or seen somebody die who is still around. It's a hazardous job.
As hazardous as it is.
So
yeah,
what is
that
it
all-
then? Taunting or actually doing something?
I'm readying my blade at him.
Here, I'm gonna give you a chance. He summons a long sword in one hand, and he puts one hand behind his back. Come on, I'm gonna give you a chance.
How sneakily can Jorg cast Bless?
I
Hold
think
on.
Bless is a very sneaky spell,
No.
to be honest with you.
Especially since I
Jorg
believe you
is
have to touch the person. But,
No, you don't have to touch them, but
no, it's all right. Oh, no, wow. Okay, it's really not that, if you want to do this sneakily, you're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to succeed a stealth roll for this because it's voice, sign, and material or holy emblem.
Yeah, Jorg's gonna decide against that. It would look kind of worse for him if he got blessed.
Here's how you do it. Okay, I'm gonna give you some advice. You see, you take your stick and you put it between your legs and just start waving it around. Everyone will think you're an idiot, but they won't know you're casting a spell.
Oh, I just accidentally whack him with my stick that's sticking out. No one will know he's being blessed.
Isaac's excited he gets to be Fisher's cheerleader again and starts being like, "Do our party proud, Fisher."
All right, since this is a bit of a duel, I'd say it's initiative for every round. So, first round, your initiative.
5.
All right. Apparently, he goes first. So, oh, jeez.
Please tell us the first strike is a.
Oh,
Just nat 20 instantly just beats Fisher.
What do you mean?
Go on, DM. Tell us.
It is a natural 20.
Oh god.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Fight start.
That's so fucking
Just
funny.
is it over?
All right,
The
so
anime moment where
With a
the man
stunning
doesn't even see the
3-second
sword,
knockout.
just goes,
Yeah.
It's over. Oh.
okay, so which means it's
Math is never good.
so he sees you just make one step to sort of begin the attack, and immediately you see the sword go down and slice you near your head, near your ribs for 32 points of slashing damage.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Ouch.
You
What is
see,
this place?
Audience chant of "Let's go, Fisher" kind of ends mid-sentence suddenly.
let's go. And okay, well, because of his level, he gets a few more attacks.
I mean, we could just say Fisher's knocked out immediately at this point.
I got this, guys. Don't worry about it.
Like Fisher, in response to the second attack, just like gets down on the ground and.
So
Fuck you talking about?
the next one is
What do you
a
think this is?
the next one is a 32 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
All right. You get hit for 13 point of slashing damage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's enough to put Raimi out of commission, but come on. More than that.
Your audience shout, "Give the man at least a chance to attack."
The third attack is a... What direction should that be? Okay, that's 7. It's a 20. Unnatural
I will
20.
use shield.
As you see this blade arriving right in front, right between your eyes, you take the shield up. And the second one is a total of 19. Not a natural 1, but the next worst thing.
That'll miss.
So again, that fourth attack, giving you a bad idea of his level, hits the shield again. Audience, you do notice in the on the face of the Dragonborn a intrigued smile, playful and intrigued. Oh, at least you're not completely worthless. Come on, then, do something.
Does that mean it's my turn now?
Yes, he has made all of his attack. He's not moving away. He's keeping at a distance, which is basically just taunting you. You are in reach. You do not have to do anything. He's even slightly lowering his guard. And he still has one hand behind his back.
Oh, fuck you.
Hit him, Fisher.
First of all, I will use Second Wind to regain 9 hit points. Ooh. Did not need a low roll
That's
on
the
that
worst
one.
insult. Just has a hand behind his back.
Yeah. And then I will attack him 4 times with Action Surge. And frickin' none of these are gonna hit.
He suddenly thinks you're level 20 and can go all out.
Yeah.
I think he knows about action surge. If he's a fighter,
Yeah.
he could have done it too.
Yeah,
There, he
just gonna
chose
roll
not to.
these all. That's gonna be a
You did it twice.
18 to hit,
That's not enough.
and then a 20 to hit.
Unnatural?
Yeah, synthetic 20.
Okay. No, that's not
And
enough.
then
The first one, he simply sidestep it. The second attack you make, he parries it with his sword.
the third is a 19 to hit. And then the fourth is a natural 20.
Oh!
Ooh, you get to hit him.
Yay!
So
hit
the
him.
third,
Amazing.
the
Unless-
third one, he seems to just jam his sword in a way that completely blocks off half of all of your options. But you manage to take this out and swing in the other direction, going straight for him.
Oh, fuck me. That's such a bad roll.
Oh.
For a whole 14 points of damage.
So
On 4d6, I rolled a 1, 2 2s, and a 4.
So as you swing your sword upward and then downward, convinced that you're gonna hit him, at the last moment you hear something that no one wants to hear. Let's make this interesting. His hand behind his back moves, and just as the blow is about to hit, you see a wall of energy appear in front of you, and as your swords moves toward him, it comes back out right toward you. You take the damage instead of him. It is a reaction spell, a high-level reaction spell.
Good thing you didn't roll higher.
Yeah, no, that is a good thing.
And as you take the sword out of this weird force mirror, you see it come out of you, and you have this glob of tree sap coming out of your mouth, just
and then I will stick the point of my sword in the ground and go, "We done?"
Like to use my bonus action to cry.
Or you want to keep playing with me?
You want to murder me?
Oh, it all depends on you. You mean that's it? That's as far as you can go? As he says that, he slightly turns his head toward you, audience, and he gives you a wink when he says that. This is as far as you want to go?
Yes.
Oh, well. And you see him sheath his sword. Well, at least you acted, which is a whole lot better than you started with. Come on, get up. And he turns toward a member of the group and simply says, you have healing spells. Come on, give him something. He deserves it. At least he acted.
I'll hit him with a level 3 cure wounds, because now I can do that.
Oh.
Proudly, you see Jorg
For
arriving.
22 health.
Hey.
Proudly, you see Jorg arriving next to you. I got this. Concentrating all the energy you can into your wound.
I did about half of one of his hits.
Audience will come up and be like, you know what? You gave it your best, Fisher, and he'll drop all 25 of his lay on hands into you. While patting you on the back.
And
just patting you 25 times.
Maybe
Every
pokes
single
his head
pat
back
is a
from-
hit point.
yeah, Remy?
Rainy just like pokes his head back from behind the Dragonborn thing. It's like, is it safe to look?
Well, the image that you see is most likely something that reassures you, because as soon as Jorg heals him, you hear again the Dragonborn, Kazan, comes closer to you, Fisher, and he grabs you, by the head, sort of in a way that might give you a headlock, but he just puts his hand around your neck, lowers you forcefully just a bit, and come on, and he starts dragging you like this. At least you acted, which is a whole lot more than a lot of people do.
Fisher's gonna hate this guy so much. It's just not Fisher's personality.
He starts dragging you by the head like this too, as the group starts walking again after looking at this small display of skill.
How tall is this guy?
He's a Dragonborn. He's very similar to Audience. So most likely your height or slightly taller.
Is he as big as me, though? Is he as Barn Dory?
Oh yeah, well, he is a warrior. He is entirely focused on strength, constitution, and intelligence because he is an Eldritch Knight.
Fair enough.
The answer is probably going to end up being no. But can I try and get out of this stupid headlock thing?
Sure, you can. It's gonna be it's sort of a grapple, so it's gonna be a contested strength or dexterity, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna go with strength.
Strength or athletics?
Athletics, yeah.
That is going to be a synthetic 20.
Oh. With everything you've got, you manage to pull strong enough that the coagulated tree sap that fell out of your mouth just makes it slightly slippery, and you just barely manage to... Oh, you beat him by 2 points.
Not expecting that to happen.
He rolled a 4.
Not surprising. I rolled a 13. And then I will look him in the eye and go, on second thought, I'll see if I can find someone else to teach me. I'd prefer to learn from somebody who understands the sincerity of combat and not someone who's just feels like they're strong enough that they can just dick around all the time. Even if it's true.
Well, if it's your opinion, feel free to look around. I've heard there's another one over there. But I doubt he is more skilled than you are. Kazan turns toward you, audience. They don't like to be tested, those more quiet races, huh?
They can be a bit. It can be a bit prickly. You can't just play around with them the same way that you can with other Dragonborn. My father used to, beat me up for breakfast, and lunch and dinner. But, that's how I learned.
There's a difference between beating
His
someone
favorite
up.
weapon, jumper cables.
Not like beating up, like we sparred and he didn't go easy.
Yeah, right. That's how you learn. As long as you're not being mean about it.
Yeah.
You're being mean about it.
Oh, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
Hey, DM,
Yes.
can Raimi do a perception to find flowers?
Sure.
17.
Yeah, it's the middle of summer, so flowers are becoming more rare than the beginning of summer, but it's not that hard. Most likely find easy flowers to find. A dandelion style of flower, or maybe something just a little more elaborate, and something pink or something purple.
By the way, I'm rolling this roll with persuasion. I rolled an 18 on persuasion. I'm turning to Vision and be like, I know this man may not be, or this dragon, or may not be your style, but you should still take the teachings he has to offer. No reason to not improve just because you're feeling a little hurt.
So with an 18, I'd say you feel the sincerity in audience.
No, I'm trying to get some water.
Yeah.
I think you misunderstand, audience. Neither me nor my pride are hurt by what just happened. I fully expected it. I'm very unsurprised as how it went down. I'm more...
Audience,
me,
Raimi
at
approaches you with a
least.
flower.
Me?
To audience with a flower.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of having an important conversation with Fisher. Remy just appears at the flower. I'm just like,
Hey, maybe it's a Kenku
And
tradition.
you hear in a woman's voice, "Oh, Raimi, I'm so sorry."
Okay.
I guess I'll kind of take the flower and be like, one second, Ruby. yes, Fisher.
It's not that the reason I don't want to learn from him is because there is a sincerity to combat that he and others like him seem to lack. When I'm fighting somebody, I don't do it for fun. Most of the time, I am either fighting for my own life and or trying to kill somebody. And that's not something to play around with. And if you're playing around while you're sparring, that will seep into your actual fighting.
I agree that killing someone is no laughing matter in the fighting battle, but there are other types of fighting than just that.
Not
one.
to me.
You still
Practice the way you would fight. That's how I learned. That's how my old mentor taught me. And he was a dragonborn.
Whatever. It is your decision in the end. I just would never throw away anyone's teaching, no matter how I felt about them or their philosophies.
Alright, fire it out of the inside.
I'll turn back to the other dragonborn. However the fuck you pronounce his name.
The Eldritch Knight or the one that is eerily
the
composed?
Eldritch Knight.
The Eldritch Knight?
It's-
Kehazin.
K has it. Okay. The I keeps... you know what? I'm just going to use an A. Because that will make me remember it better. The I keeps throwing me off. Do you know how to teach somebody without prancing around and laughing about it?
Fire it out.
Actually being sincere? Or is this the only way you fight?
If you think that was prancing around, that was mocking something, you haven't spent a lot of time in the middle of a dragonborn clan.
No.
This is friendly conversation for us. I know some of us, and he looks toward his friend, may feel more composed, more serious, especially when they start getting older. But of course, if you want to learn something, I can easily teach you. But I'm warning you, I'm not gonna go easy on you just because you're beginning at this.
I don't want you to go easy.
Oh,
I just don't want you to play around. Hold your hand behind your back. Make a show of it. I don't want to learn how to fight with one hand behind my back.
then tell me, why did you believe it was important to mention that the last time you had a mismatched fight, you lost so badly that you died? Usually, this is a way to ask someone to be gentle. If you didn't want this, then you wouldn't have said it out loud.
There's a difference between... I guess I should have been more clear.
Oh, yes.
Or chopped my head off.
Oh, you'll
There's a difference between playing around and... or... There's a difference between starting the fight, I guess giving yourself a disadvantage, and fighting at your full capacity, but then stopping before it goes too far.
And so this is how you view fighting. This is your philosophy. Are you
If
telling
you're
me
gonna
that
fight,
are you
you should go 100%.
are you telling me that your philosophy is so weak that it can't measure up to other philosophies?
What do you mean by that?
You have your way of thinking, your baggage, your emotions, or lack thereof. But when you face someone who has more emotions than you, who is able to enjoy something without disrespecting it, you react poorly. When you fight, weren't you taught to not fear the blade, but respect it?
Of course I was.
Then do not fear my teaching, just respect them.
You haven't exactly taught me anything yet.
Oh, really?
You showed me a couple things. Made me stab myself.
And you really understood nothing of it. You got no lessons out of it. Nothing. Only that you were completely overwhelmed. Is that the only conclusion that you took out of this? And not only that, you were overwhelmed by someone who was openly taunting you. Is that all you understood?
Let's get something squared away pretty quick. I am rather bad at reading people.
Then maybe this was a lesson in...
Prefer when people say things instead of just hinting at them.
Well, that's very well.
And
that's very good and well. And this works really well with friends. Do you really think an enemy would treat you like this, with this kind of respect? Do you really think a warrior of the cult we're about to face is not going to mock you, especially if he believes you have the upper hand? Try and make you feel less, anger you, make you lose your means.
I don't.
Teaching is more than just one thing. You asked me to teach you to be a better knight. I just gave you a lesson. And you left angry.
I don't.
Sorry, I know the gruff voice is just left, but my... it's a bit hard on my voice. Doing his voice.
The mocking isn't.
It's not.
Well,
it's not necessary, of course. But do you really think an enemy won't?
No, I don't.
Then you need to be prepared for it.
The mocking does not affect my fighting. It affects how I would treat the person outside of fighting.
A fight doesn't end when swords go down.
The sword fight does. Does it not?
He gives a glance at you, audience. We have a lot to discuss.
I mean, there's other types of fighting, but which I am rather poor at and honestly don't think I could get better at. The sword fighting specifically.
Tell me.
Usually ends when the swords are dropped.
When you're fighting someone, when they are in front of you, When does the fight start? When he is right in your face? When he is a few steps away? When does it start?
Well, for which person?
When does the fight start?
It starts at different times for each person in the fight.
When should it start for you?
It starts for me as soon as I decide to start fighting.
When you roll initiative.
Sometimes that is when I feel like they say something stupid and insensitive, and then I try and throw a punch, like earlier. Other times that is after I've been caught unawares and just realize it after I've already been hit.
A fight starts when an enemy can hit you within a single action. He turns toward audience. When do you think a fight starts for him? It starts 30 feet away from you.
What if they have a bow?
Then it starts even longer.
90 feet away, 150 feet away, and that's not even including sharpshooter.
you hear Remy say in a voice of someone you've never heard, most likely a hunter, calling out the distances. This is when a fight starts, and it ends when your enemy is not a danger anymore.
Yeah.
So tell me, technically, am I still a danger?
I'm not sure. You could be. Is that what you mean?
Oh, you have part of the answer.
I don't know you well enough to know you are dangerous. But I wouldn't say a fight starts until I notice an aggressive action.
So
That would.
So he looks at you, and then he looks at Remy. He says, my little friend, tell me, if you can, does a fight start sooner for you than it does for him? He said that right after Fisher said, when he perceives.
He always seems to act before I do, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
And what is your opinion, little one?
You'll hear in a gruff voice, so, well, Remy, the best way to win a fight is to make sure it didn't even happen to begin with.
A good lesson.
I think that's a good philosophy to have.
Meanwhile, they have no idea
think
what the
you're looking
context
at
of
it.
that comment was.
I think you're looking at it in a different perspective than whoever told Raimi that was.
I think most arguments are lost when you throw the first punch.
Not necessarily lost, but you definitely lost the initiative.
And this, Remy, is how you rig a door.
I think I get it. So, come on. Enough talking. Decide. Are you gonna sit next to me tonight, or are you gonna sit next to this guy? And he points toward Bertrand, who seems to know even less than you about this.
About that poor guy who's not even involved.
Yeah. Well, if he's smart enough, I'll probably be sitting next to both of you.
I guess I can't expect a better answer than this. Come on. Enough talking. We're starting to lag behind. Everyone's starting to just move ahead of us. Are you adding something?
Nope.
Okay. So, you all keep walking.
There's one thing Fisher learned from Terranad. It's you never have to have the last word.
Just because they don't say it, that doesn't mean they ain't thinking it anyway.
Yeah.
As you guys walking, audience is gonna turn to you and be like, "Listen, I know you guys think you're all super, friendly and a talkative bunch, but I'm gonna go off on my own for a bit and try and make some friends and connections. You guys can do what you want."
None of us here think we're a friendly or talkative bunch, audience. I get what you mean.
Ramy again just looks really sad, puts his head down, and starts walking a little faster.
You're fine. Actually, I don't know
Take
if I
Ramy
noticed
with
that.
you.
Would I notice that? Whatever.
He may not be talkative, but he's friendly. And that more than makes up for it.
No, I probably wouldn't notice. Oh, that roll. I'll look at Remy. I'll be like, very well. I'll take Remy along with me. Let's go, Remy.
I think Remy is going through a lot of emotions right now.
Yeah, just like hearing that instantly brightens up suddenly right next to him.
I can't help but to think about the one song from Katy Perry. You're hot and you're cold.
Immediately DMC'd. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna head off from these two antisocial people.
All right. Anyone in particular you want to go to?
Who would I want to go to?
I can give you a
Let's
few
see.
minutes. We're supposed to go on break, so I can give you a few minutes to think
true.
about it also.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Alright.
So, as you move away from this conversation and this person who is Fisher, who you think found the master, not completely sure yet, but you think he did. Move away from the group, and this is where we're going to take our break. And as soon as everyone comes back, hopefully in 10 minutes, we're going to be right back into this. So, see you all in 10 minutes. Have a good break. Take the time to pee. Take something to eat. And follow! See you in 10 minutes. Bye. Aha! Welcome back. Sorry we took longer than 10 minutes. We're having a slight problem. But it is solved. Everyone is there, and time to keep going. So, as this day keeps progressing, probably reaching in the afternoon after walking for a few hours, audience moves away from Fisher and his new dragonborn friend. At least one of them is friend, because he hasn't talked really with the other one. Audience, you suddenly veer off with Remy in tow. Jorg
First one hasn't given the other one time to talk.
and Jorg. Where are you going? Are you going your own way? going to
Yeah.
Fisher?
I think Jorg might. I don't know. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He might go look for the druid. I forgot his name.
Sarn. Okay.
Sarn.
Have you met Sarn yet?
He spent a lot of time in the garden.
Yeah.
Which means he joined the channel late. So yeah, he spent a lot of time in the garden. So he saw Sarn. Sarn spent quite a lot of time during the first month realigning the natural energies inside of the garden.
Rebalancing its chakra.
Yeah, something like that, but for a forest. So you saw him do
the chakras and everything.
You saw him do a whole lot of weird stuff that you really didn't understand and couldn't actually see what he was doing. But he was doing something. He was busy and he kept disappearing and reappearing and telling people to hold something that they couldn't see and then taking it back and leaving again. Climbing into trees. Landing on people's head. As a bird, not as a not as a humanoid. All right. Well, let's go with someone who hasn't talked a lot tonight, Jorg.
All right.
Actually, you haven't talked a lot in the last 3 episodes, so Jorg.
No. Yeah. Yeah, Jorg's gonna go look for him, or did he find him?
Well, he is small, but he is fairly easy to see. He's not trying to hide. He always looks slightly lost. And most likely won't be talking to anyone unless someone talks to him. And then 10 minutes after, that person's gonna leave looking confused. So you just find a trail of confused people, and you eventually find him.
I'll call out to him. Hey, Sarn.
Yes, he doesn't even look at you. He just raises his head when you say this. Yes.
I just wanted to tell you my item awoke.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's this puppy, but I don't know if it eats or if it can go back into its little statue.
Would you mind walking next to me at least?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll walk next to you.
Hey, that's very useful and a lot less painful for the neck.
Yeah.
So you want to know if your puppy needs to eat?
Yes. It seems to like eating, and I haven't figured out a name for him yet. But
Well, at least you have one answer now. You know that it likes eating.
But I guess I don't want to test if it doesn't need to eat. So I thought maybe you might know more.
Why would I know more?
I don't know. You've been here longer than I have.
Most likely. Although,
Yeah.
although this is something we can argue about.
Yeah.
I've been here longer, but I've also haven't been here longer because I've been somewhere else longer than I've been here.
Yeah.
So I haven't been here very long, but I've been somewhere else very long. And if you start at the beginning, then I have been everywhere a long time.
I see. But the time spent in here. Well, do you mind if I ask what your item is?
It's my cloak. And he just shrugs a little bit his shoulder. It's my cloak.
It's a very magnificent cloak.
Just like that, it looks like a plain green colored cloak. Soft green color. Not vibrant one. Something that blends easily when you're in nature.
What does it do?
It helps me. It assists me. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that your object does.
Yeah, it appears that to some extent every object does that.
Well, that was an easy question to answer then.
It's a vague answer.
But it's a good one.
That is true. It is a true answer. I guess objectively that means it's a good one.
See, that's not so hard.
Yeah. Do all objects have a personality?
Of some sort. I mean, a lot of objects that have received so much power have a will of their own. They can't all speak, of course, but they all have a will of their own, at least.
Yeah.
The simple fact that they needed to be awakened by your actions implies that they have a will, because they can choose when to awaken.
That's a good point. The dream was saying, "Show me more," or something like that. And then it awoke after a pretty eventful mission.
See?
But
You didn't even need to worry about it. You just needed to be patient.
yeah.
And listen.
That's about all I had to ask.
Okay
Are
then.
you looking forward to the conflict?
No. But it is
Yeah.
necessary.
That's kind of how I'm feeling.
This organization has been stirring up trouble, and it is trying to revive. A fallen god. A fallen god of our world. Of our faith. Bringing back in balance is not a good thing to do.
No. I learned that the hard way. But yeah, we'll just have to help nature keep stable.
Well, nature has already asked for help. We're all here.
Yeah. And the more help, the better. I'm happy to see this many people.
Well, it's easier to get an answer out of people who are actually very inclined to this sort of things. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's an adventurer here, and only a handful wouldn't be thrilled to actually take on something like this. I mean, they live
I-
for excitement.
I will admit to some excitement myself. It is it's pretty amazing to see the whole garden marching together.
Well,
Has this happened before?
part of it, anyway.
Oh. Yeah.
No, I think this is the first time that everyone seems to be enthralled. And it's kind of a nice thing to see that everyone seems to be willing to help a single person, an individual, which is doing their best to follow nature's will.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't know she's following nature's will, but she is listening and she is patient. And so she sees.
That's how these things are sometimes. You don't know you're listening, but it's always whispering to you.
Always. Just like the wind. Always breathing, always listening, always whispering things to do.
Yeah.
If you just listen to the wind, it'll tell you what's happening around you.
Ooh.
He closes his eyes and just take a long whiff around him. Right now, there is a field of flower blooming 2 miles in that direction.
Ooh. That is a nose of your.
That's not my nose, that's the wind. The wind
That's the wind.
speaks. Always.
I'll have to learn the language of the wind. For now, I'll rely on my instincts to interpret it.
Well, that can also be good. And what about this? And he takes your puppy and just looks at it like this as he's walking. You see your puppy just...
I was thinking of naming him Basil, but I knew a goat named Basil once.
Well, then the only question that you have to ask yourself is, would a dog like being named after a goat?
That's a good question. Probably not. That's the...
It looks beastly enough,
Okay.
but of course it's summoned by an object, so it might also just be a manifestation, an avatar of. But then again, if it's an avatar, it might actually mean that it's an avatar of something that is similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it could still be a beast, but only in its spirit. Or it could be a beast in spirit and body.
Then,
Or neither.
then think about this. How would you like someone else to name your shadow? When you have an answer to that question, maybe you'll have a good name for your dog.
My shadow. That's a good idea. It is a male, I assume.
You've never looked, but I'd say
Yeah.
you'd probably know, have a feeling.
Yeah,
You know.
I've probably petted its tummy and stuff. So I feel safe assuming it's a male.
It's your object. If you want it to be a male, it's going to be a male.
Well, thank you for
I'm
your
just saying
wise
you weren't
words.
asking the important questions.
Yeah. Thank you for your wise words, Sarn. I'll be getting back to my group now, but I'll think about what you've said.
Well, that is always a good beginning.
Yeah. Goodbye. And then I'll turn around with the same confused look
as everyone else. All right.
No, I think that was productive.
Oh no, definitely. I can see it in the way that you react. It is productive, but it is confusing also.
Yeah.
So now you feel a sense of empathy toward everyone else that tried to speak with him today. Yay, you're part of a group now.
Can I roll perception to see if I can interpret what the wind is saying? Or just listen to it?
Sure, you can roll in perception.
All right.
You
I
hear,
rolled an
"You
18.
left your fly
Did I hear
down."
me? Oh no.
You just take a moment and you look down and oh yeah, you just stepped on some horse down.
Oh man, why didn't the wind warn me of that?
And then you remember what he just said. Well, the wind was probably warning you about it for a few minutes now. All right. So,
Yeah.
audience and Remy, as you veer away from Fisher and notice that Jorg right now is having a conversation with Sarn and looking confused and enlightened at the same time. You veer off and you are going toward?
I am probably heading towards Corin, the turtle.
Corin? Alright. Well, as always, when you get close enough, he jovially greets you while wobbling as he's walking. You know, he's logging around the shell at his 2/3 of his weight. So... So, what do you want?
I'm just, going around, saying hi to my fellow adventurers. You're always I always like talking to you. You seem to be a very, fun and strong man, or turtle in this case.
Oh, that's something that a lot of people tell me. I guess it must be true then. That's a good thing, Especially when you catch a big fish. Sometimes it's a lot to eat all on your own. Having someone with you, it just makes it more enjoyable.
I don't know if I've ever asked you, but what god do you champion?
Oh, I listen to nature itself. Oh, manifestation of it anyway. I believe... Oh, damn, I didn't write which one is which. I believe you've heard of Sansan. Nature god.
Wait, say that again?
Sansan. Sansan.
Sansan, okay.
And there's a sister god, Moon.
So I was
It's one of the first gods to start answering prayers. After the shattering, most gods weren't listening. Of course, nature is always listening.
As the druids say, but you don't seem to be a druid to me.
No, I've never been that patient. I've always been someone that likes a little bit more action in his life.
Can hear that. Don't have to tell me twice.
Oh, San was one of the first god. So it is a very old one. And just like many of the first one that came after the shattering, it is a bit more nature-oriented. So it respects nature. But let's just say that while many druidic gods do not favor season, San does favor a little bit more spring and summer. And he gives you a wink when he says that.
I say we've made friends with some nature along our travels. I'll point to Remy. We have actually this seed with us that can turn into a elemental tree friend of one of two. One of them was a lot more powerful, who I met earlier on. The more common one's name is Oranak, and she's been on with us for a few missions.
Well then, it's always good to know that you are a friend with nature. It is a powerful ally to have, no matter where you are. Because let's be honest, you can find nature even in the darkest cave. But light,
Yeah.
a little bit less.
We have a nod. Your god definitely is more present in many places than I would say mine is. You don't often find too many dragons underground, or at least in certain parts of
that's
the
true.
underground.
But gem dragon usually like it. A lot of them lives in caves.
As a paladin, I was wondering if you'd ever want to teach me a few tricks sometime. I'm willing to learn, even from others who follow other gods. You seem to be a lot more, I've been on the path for a lot longer than I have, being a champion and such. So if you ever have anything to teach me.
Oh, I'm sure I can teach you a few interesting things. I mean, from the person who divine smited someone with a chair. I mean, it's hard to say no to someone like this.
I'm sure you have some crazy tales as well.
Oh, yes. And he raises one arm, and you see this arm is heavily armored, but you do notice that toward the knuckles, it is specially reinforced and made in a way that you can punch someone without harming yourself, and it will even cause damage. So he raises his arm. Oh yeah, I've smited people with different things also.
But no, I'll say I'd love to share a drink with you sometime. I'm sure you can tell me all about it.
Oh, then just come next to me tonight. Not wherever we're gonna sleep. I have a feeling we're gonna sleep outside.
I'd be happy to.
No, and I'm sure we're going to be needed tonight.
Give a nod. Look around, and be like, always need to be ready.
That's a good thing. It's good to have friends, but you also have to be careful.
Yeah.
Enemies will just lunge at you at the first time they can.
Looking around all the adventures, they'll be like, we are quite a powerful group traveling, but I will say we also must draw quite a bit of attention. So,
He looks up when you say this, and yes, especially tonight. We're gonna have to be careful. But I'm sure you've slept out quite a few times during this time of the year.
Of course. I have no problem sleeping outside.
Make a perception roll for me, please. I
Perception.
know you love them.
Yeah, I do. That's a 2.
Noise.
Then yes, your reaction does not change an inch of everything you just said.
I don't know how he'll take that. If it's, if it's something else I don't know about. Just like, this man's either super confident or...
Oh no, you just keep going as if, it's the exact reaction that you just had.
Yeah.
You saw him say, yeah, tonight you're probably going to need it, and just like people do,
Let me see, what else was I... Oh, I was...
Remy, is there anything you'd like to do? Other than knowing that Corinth eats a really weird sludge, you don't know that much else from him.
Honestly, once he started talking about about smiting with with various objects, just Ray just kind of thinks on that for a moment.
Oh, he just thinks and thinks.
And maybe even minor illusions, a couple of objects, just minor illusions, a hat rack.
Do you minor illusion it so that Corinth and audience sees it?
Yeah.
Well, then in that case, you'd probably get varied reaction. Doesn't feel like it's going to do a lot of damage, but with the help of a god, very useful in indoor.
Minor illusions or rusty pipe.
Well, that one feels a bit like a club, so of course it's going to work. And you might get a special disease from it, Especially if it's jagged on the sides.
Starts scratching underneath his beak, and then minor illusions a grandfather clock.
Really gives another meaning to clocking someone. Where someone out.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. Says, yeah. Although I am wondering how that's gonna go. Are you supposed to take the clock and clock someone? He nudges you when he says that. Are you just supposed to push it on someone and smite it as it's falling? That could be interesting to try, huh?
Yeah. I'll give it a go at some point if there's ever a clock where I'm fighting. I need a bit.
One thing that I've...
It probably just goes on with that, for a few minutes while everyone's commenting on
on different things. Knife I've
Smite
tried. A boot, well, that's always interesting to do, There's so many one-liners that you can give while you're using a boot to smite someone. Oh yes, I've seen this child toy. Oh, round wooden thing with a string on it. It's very useful. I've never tried smiting someone with it. It's gonna give a reach. That can be interesting. For those wondering, I'm describing a yo-yo.
I mean, yeah, it's like I also too also want to see a divine smite yo-yo hit.
Someone masters the
Ban
yo-yo.
it.
Just yo-yo is their weapon of choice. Just buffs it up a bunch and then uses divine.
Actually, you guys don't know this about me, but I'm actually a huge fan, and just like in cartoons, anime in general, of like those who use yo-yos as a main weapon.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
can't
it.
explain why.
It's cool because you can do all the cool stuff with the string and like play. It's a cool weapon.
Yes, it brings me back to days of listening to animes. There was one, I'm not sure of the title, but there was one with yo-yo.
The cool kid word for it is a meteor hammer.
Oh yeah. Like Kill Bill.
Alright.
All right. Remy, is there someone that you'd like to talk in particular?
You know what? Raimi is going to perceive to see if someone's like giving him weird looks again.
Go ahead.
Get the proper die out. It's like we already got a Dragonborn on the list. Let's see if there's another one around. That's going to be a 25.
25. So you're looking around and you do notice that the Dragonborn does seem to be looking at you from time to time. And then he looks at you twice in a row. And then you hear a voice right behind you at a level a bit under your ear going, well, that's not very impressive. You're easy to surprise. And you see the goblin just walk away from you.
It is like all of his feathers suddenly ruffle. Like,
Get the...
Take a lesson from Fisher. Stab him.
Other than that, I'd say... You notice... Neisa seems to be paying attention to you from time to time. And... Well, you've only seen him once, but there seemed to be a half-orc. The way he walks, it's someone that's used to traveling long distances. Most likely some sort of ranger. He keeps paying attention to everyone, including you. And as you since you rolled high enough, you do notice that the goblin just keeps walking between people, and from time to time you see him stretch his hand, take something from someone, put it back, and the person doesn't realize what happened.
you know what? It's like maybe I'll probably just be spending that time like taking notes.
All right.
Like literally taking notes on that. It's just like, oh wow, even I can't do that. He thinks to himself.
All right. So no,
At least not easily.
I don't know. You easily notice that he is extremely nimble, silent even more than you. He doesn't seem to be trying in any way. But no one seems to be noticing him at all as he's walking between people. And only those who seem to have this odd ability for perception seem to notice him. And even then, not everyone seems to be able to keep track of him. And he does that to everyone. You even see him arrive at one point toward a warrior, someone that Kazan pointed to earlier. You just see him grab a sword, unhook it completely, look at it, open it, sniff it, put it back. You see him take put his finger in a pouch, draw a line on it, and put it back on his belt and walk away. That's not supposed to be. You can't disarm an Eldritch Knight against his will.
So Randy almost starts clapping, but then he realizes, like, oh wait, no, nobody knows what's going on, so it's awkward. So he like puts his hands back down.
But he just keeps going like this, going through people, looking through stuff without anyone noticing. Yeah. Well, alright. At one point, you even see him reach Fisher's side. You see him...
Don't you dare.
Believe me, your passive perception is not high enough for what he rolled.
Passive perception isn't high enough for anything.
You just see him walk next to Fisher, and then start touching his backpack. You know, just like someone examining a pregnant beast, but he's doing that to the backpack, and you just see him go. Walk away.
Raimi, Raimi seeing that, it's just like, oh wait, shit, right. Raimi will take a portion from his disguise kit, black makeup,
Okay.
and specifically on Audience's shield, he is going to put a symbol on it.
Okay. So you see Remy going next to you to where your shield is? Do you ask him, or do you try to do this the way that the goblin is doing this?
He's going to try and do it without getting Audience's attention.
Roll.
You have to beat like a 12 passive.
I'd say sleight of hand.
I'm not an expert in sleight of hand. But that's still 13 though.
All right, you managed to do this, but barely. There's a few moments where you're trying to put the makeup on Audience's shield, and he does turn in a way that just makes you feel, oh goodness.
Does Corin notice and say anything, or does he just...
You say you rolled a 13, is that it?
Yeah, I rolled pretty low.
Okay. He doesn't seem to be reacting to this, but you do notice that for a brief moment, maybe a few minutes, He seems to be holding a laughter for a while. But he doesn't give obvious hints that something is happening in your back.
Fair. I mean,
But,
audience doesn't really care.
Anyways, Raimi then sneaks off for a brief moment, which I'll go ahead and roll the stealth. Yeah, 24. He sneaks off, and I'm going to make another sleight of hand as he tries to put the same symbol on Fisher's back.
Okay, so I believe Fisher is wearing his backpack right now, so basically you're painting the same symbol on Fisher's backpack?
It essentially, yes.
Okay.
Like, the important thing is that it's on there.
Okay. Sleight of hand.
Alright, that's significantly better than the last one. A soft 20.
Okay.
Nah, not good enough.
So, like, it puts the same symbol, and
From your perspective, Fisher, all that happens during this time is that you see Kudown just drop one step behind everyone for maybe a minute and just comes back to the same level of as everyone. You just see him look up, close his eyes, and open his eyes again and just keeps on walking.
And finally, Raimi goes to sneak off again, maintaining his previous stealth because he was pretty confident in that one. And now he is going to try and make the same mark on Jorg's back.
We're all part of the same family.
This is my
I'll go ahead and
passive.
roll sleight of hand for that one. I mean, your passive's pretty fucking good.
Yeah,
so you
mine's
might
a
actually
17.
notice this. Yeah, not when I roll a 16 on the die, though.
Oh. I'm still trying to listen to the wind.
So,
That's a 23 total.
Ooh.
so you're walking and suddenly then you realize you're walking in front of a dwarf. Oh.
Ooh.
It completely blinds you to Remy's doing. What are you drawing exactly?
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, so on Audience's shield and on Fisher and Jorg's back is actually I guess the best way to describe this symbol is it is in the shape of a bird, but with 3 very large talons,
Okay.
which I'm going to offer to everybody as for free. Is Raimi's way in Thieves' Cant of saying back off. These are off limits.
Oh.
So as you're putting the finishing touch on Jorg and you're looking at this and you hear the voice of Sarn coming from behind you say, "Well, that's artistic. You're not that bad of a drawer."
Who's drawing?
The perspective is a bit weird, but I can see what it is. Jorg, you're hearing that from behind you. Sarn isn't trying to be stealthy.
Randy, meanwhile, is maintaining his stealth and wandering his way back over to audience.
So as you turn around, all you see is Sarn behind you, like this, looking at you, and then eventually veering off and walking away.
He doesn't even tell. Well, Sarn's just being Sarn, I guess. I guess I'll look for Remy in the audience or Fisher.
Well,
Whoever I find.
Fisher and audience are easy to find for different reasons. Fisher, you roughly know where he is. Audience, you simply have to listen and you know where he is. Remy,
I don't know where he went.
he's probably around. So, who do you go to?
Me? Oh, I'll go to, I guess, audience.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I like your, what you done with your shield. It's kind of cool.
Oh, I looked at it. Interesting. Remy must have done that.
No. I
I
don't know what
would
it
assume
means.
by the bird.
That's a good guess.
Cool.
Yeah, learn anything new?
I mean, me and Corin were just talking.
That feels so much like someone arriving next to you and saying, "So, how's the weather?"
And me and Corin were just talking. Everything seemed to be going well.
Cool. No.
So you keep on walking like this for the entire day. Making a few new friends, talking to people. Then eventually the night starts to come, and slowly you see the sun going down, and you see the moon's rising. Remy, well, everyone make a perception roll.
Alright.
11.
Oh, baby.
14.
18 from audience.
Oh,
Damn.
28.
Sorry, your sound cut, Remy. I didn't understand.
not good enough.
I didn't hear. Remy, I didn't hear. The sound just cut.
Okay, 28.
Okay, tell me. So the night is there, and you see the moon rising, and audience and Remy, you look at the sky, and the moons are rising. There's something that feels odd about this. There's always moons in the sky. There's 2 moons, so there's basically practically never dark outside, completely dark. But tonight, you feel this feeling in your guts about the moons being there. But you suddenly hear that everyone's making camp. You passed a small village, a few hours away. You're about to reach a place where there's a crossroad, just a few hours away from the town of Crossroad, but it's a bit far. So the groups decides to just go off the road and into the field next to it. And you hear Kathan and Sarn and Neisa and Corinth just go, well, it's about time to prepare for the night. I mean, we still have a few days to walk, so need to rest a bit. So you all bed down, and everyone starts preparing something. There's a fire that just seems to appear on its own like this, as a lot of people who have different cantrips can easily do. Wood being thrown, a little bit of food being placed around and being given to everyone. Everyone just keeps talking among themselves, and a lot of people are expressing, it's always good to sit down at the end of the day, share a meal together. There's a little bit of conversation, and everyone seems to be very jolly. Audience and Remy, there's just this feeling inside your guts telling you that something's wrong in the sky right now. You just can't shake it. Then eventually people starts unrolling their bedroll. And so,
Well, I guess I would have been next to you. I would have been next to Corn, right? Because I said I was going to sit next to him.
yeah.
Fire.
And you look around, you see that a lot of people are starting to bed down. Some of them are already asleep. Damn people that can just fall asleep just by closing their eyes like cats. But there are a few people still around the campfire. Audience, you probably see on the other side of the campfire Corinth, who's there, maybe roasting one last bit of food. Naisa just playing a gentle tune, helping everyone fall asleep. And Jorg, Audience, Remy, and Fisher, would you please make an intelligence saving throw? And then a wisdom saving throw. And tell me the result of both.
Alright.
What? That's synthetic 20 for the intelligence save and an 11 for the wisdom save.
Jorg got a 19 on the intelligence save and a 9 on the wisdom save.
How did you get a 9 on the wisdom save?
I rolled a 2.
Oh, buddy.
Audience actually surprisingly...
I was like, you got this. Druids are good at both of those.
Audience
Oh.
surprisingly got a 15 on the intelligence save and an 18 on the wisdom save.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
15 and 18. Oh, that's high.
Actually, wait, that's what I rolled. Wait, do I get any saving throws? Wait, wisdom. Oh no, sorry, wisdom. Yes,
Yeah.
15 on intelligent, but audience actually got 21.
On wisdom? Wow.
21.
Wow.
So,
bad.
Jorg, I didn't catch them all. So, intelligence, you rolled?
19.
Okay. And the wisdom?
Okay. Wisdom was a 9.
9, okay. 9 and 19. Remy?
Yeah.
Raimi rolled an 18 on the intelligence save, and then a 19 on the wisdom save.
Okay. Okay. And Fisher, I believe it was 20 for intelligence. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And 11 for wisdom.
So, audience and Remy, as you have this gut feeling growing inside of you that something's wrong. Actually, that works. Nice rolls. I like them. Audience, you look up. Remy, for some reason, you look straight in front of you and you see on the other side Audience, Jorg, and Fisher. Jorg, you're just looking in front of you. You see Fisher, Audience, and Remy. A few other people. They seem to be sort of a background, everyone else. Audience, you see this flash of light coming from the sky. And it starts going down and down and down and down. And suddenly it hits the ground, exploding. You see bits of flame flying off in every direction. The ground seems to be on fire on the other side, and you realize that that thing just fell right in the middle of where everyone was sleeping. You see bits and pieces of body parts everywhere, burning, people on the ground moaning in pain. And then you are hit by this gut feeling of fear, of overwhelming fear that you have felt once before underwater. You see something opening up in front of you, and you see this creature coming out, looking right in your direction, and you hear it say, "I want my armor." Remy, what you see, however, is much more quiet. You see everyone around you, but you notice that no one is actually moving. That feels odd. Audience was just talking a few minutes ago. And then, suddenly, from the shadows, in front of you, you hear a voice you hoped you would never hear again, speaking in Undercommon. You hear, "Oh, Noir, you little flying rat. This is where you've been hiding." You see him appearing in the shadows with a dagger and blood dripping from it. You realize he has just slashed Jorg's throat. Jorg, from your point of view, what you see is the ground starting to move, undulate. You see mushrooms growing from the ground, and you see them taking on a hold of audience, of Remy, of Fisher, and you see everyone around. You see these growth going above them, seizing them, entering into them. You see them seize up, have convulsion. You see Fisher standing up. You see his armor just burst out, and the wood inside of him grow mushrooms, odd colors. You just can feel the corruption in the air, this decay, this smell that you've never felt before and you've never smelled before. This is something bad, something that's entering in the bodies of your friend, corrupting and pushing them to do something. You see them all rise up and look in your direction, green eyes. Fisher, what you see is very quiet. However, you hear something. Something that you hope no one would ever utter again. You hear two arcane words that just goes back into your memory and hits your guts like a truck. Arcane's words that last time you heard them spoken, you had to kill someone against your will. Then you recognize the voice talking to it. A half-orc stepping out of the shadows. He repeats them again, and you see your body getting up, tensing up. And he looks at you and says, "It's time to make a little bit of cleaning up. Kill them all." And you see your hands just summoning your weapon and slowly moving toward your friends. And this is where the stream's going to end today.
Oh, that's nice.
As you might imagine, every single roll you made had a consequence. Depending on what you succeeded and failed, the description changed. And next episode, you are gonna get to know what this weirdness is all about.
Audience out here about to fight an elder god. Like,
So,
Like, all right, who cast weird?
me, that's part of my life. Welcome to my world. Alright, so I hope you had fun tonight. I hope you have found it interesting learning more about the other people walking with our friends. And I hope you're wondering what's going to happen next episode, because the players sure seem to be a little confused. So, see you all next episode, next Wednesday. As always, if you enjoy the show, you can support the stream by following us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also support the stream by making a donation or becoming a Patreon, or simply by spreading the word of the weirdness you've just heard, and invite your friends to come and see what's going to happen and how everyone's going to react, since everyone is seeing something different. So, as always, good night, stay safe, and especially in those weird times, stay healthy. Goodbye.
10A.
Right.